What's up, Rebels? Sean Ogle of Location Rebel, on location, Cannon Beach, Oregon. And today, we're gonna talk about how to manufacture a product in China. I get asked for advice all the time on how to actually make a physical product. And fortunately for you, I'm with one of my best friends, Nick Ramil, who happens to be a total expert in that. He has not only imported products into China, he's manufactured products in China, and he runs a community called Enter China, where he helps people do exactly those things. So, for some reason, we have a penchant to take very romantic little getaways, and that's where we find ourselves on the Oregon coast, where we're gonna be drinking wine and eating oysters. When I said Nick and I take romantic getaways, wasn't really joking. Don't judge us, but hopefully there's gonna be some very valuable information about how to start a physical product business. So for anyone who was wondering, 3 p.m. on a Tuesday in Cannon Beach, not a whole lot going on. We have now walked by 2 closed coffee shops, and I'm not entirely sure if there is a third.
0 for 4 on coffee shops, 0 for 2 on supermarkets. We're about to see if we can get 1 for 1 at a last-ditch effort at the nicest restaurant in this incredible town of Cannon Beach.
Officially over 5 on the espresso, but we hear Sherry's Cafe is gonna be lucky number 6. Had absolutely no idea it was gonna be so difficult to get espresso in Cannon Beach, but success. Not bad either. So first off, before we go any further, I want to do a quick background about Nick's business, Enter China. So about 4 years ago, Nick came to me and he said, "Hey Sean, we got this business called Enter China where we help new entrepreneurs build physical product businesses in China. We could use some help with the marketing. Would you like to be involved?" I said, sure. Yeah. So we did a product launch. We sold it for $397 with less than 1,000 people on the email list. We sold 40 copies and it worked out pretty well.
That was one of my favorite days.
That was a good day. And so then a year later, I was busy with Location Rebel, I was busy with Breaking 80. I said, you know what, I'm gonna take anything I own in this business and just give it to you. I don't have time to work on this. And now they're selling it for $10,000. Yep. And collectively, members of the Enter China community sell over $100 million a year in physical products. So you could safely say that was not my finest decision.
You know, it's all about learning lessons, and we've made a good amount of progress as a business, but really appreciate everything you did in the early days.
I'm sure you did.
And obviously we still get to chat a ton about business and work on stuff together, so couldn't be more happy about that.
Absolutely. Okay, so with all that said, what I wanted to talk about in this video is specifically, let's say you've got an idea. You've got a sweet idea for a brand new backpack that's gonna revolutionize the world. So how do you go from having this idea to actually manufacturing the physical product? Because I know there's a lot of us, we have like our genius thing, this is gonna revolutionize the world, but then we have no idea where to go from there. So let's say I've got a backpack idea. Where do I start? If I want to get this thing manufactured and get this thing made, what's step number 1?
Pretty much everyone and their mother has a great idea, right? Yeah. But a lot of people just don't understand how to bring it to life. And one of the number 1 things we recommend is making sure that we call it look before you jump, and making sure you do that product research. It's free, it costs you nothing but time and maybe a few coffees to make sure you're staying pretty amped up. But
so how do you do that?
Yeah, going right to crowdfunding platforms is normally one of my number 1 things I suggest. Indiegogo.com, Kickstarter.com, and
so why is that? I've got an idea. Why would I go to Kickstarter, Indiegogo?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's very much because a lot of people think they're the first person to come up with an idea. Yeah. And what they normally tend to find out is other people have had that idea and they've either done it successfully or unsuccessfully. Yep. Brought that product to market. And you can learn so much from those who've done it successfully but equally as much as those who've done it unsuccessfully. And that's something I think is really important for people to understand, is going and doing that product research is a really good way to go, again, learn and make sure that, we're aware of what's happening around us before we try to plow a new path or a new road on your own. Because odds are other people have already hacked a lot of the weeds, or whatever you want to call it, out of the way on the path you want to go down.
Yeah, because I love that, because it's like if you're going to just Google, speakers or backpacks or sunglasses or whatever it is, you're going to get all the like major brands already out there. But if you go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo, you're getting people that are probably doing exactly what you want to do. They're going to Asia, they're manufacturing these products, and that's where you're actually going to figure out like who's successful, who's not, get ideas for how to approach your business. I think that's great.
Yeah, and I think and one more step, you could take it even further, which if you don't mind me jumping into just a little bit, is crowdfunding is one thing. A lot of people have great crowdfunding campaigns. Most of them can never successfully transition to e-commerce because, again, they're those one-hit wonders, and they start trying to launch multiple products instead of focusing on that one.
Right.
So what I would recommend is, if there's a few brands, say 5, 6, 7 brands that you want to emulate, or you believe would be your competitors, or you eventually want to be competing with, go to similarweb.com and go type in their domain and go break down everything from what countries the traffic is coming from to, breaking down the traffic, is it direct, is it ads, is it social media, is it email marketing, ad display, and more importantly, go even break down the referral traffic.
Totally.
And all these other aspects that I won't break down the dashboard for you, but if you type in Burton.com, or that's too big. Tortuga Backpacks, which is an Enter China member. Shout out to Fred. I
was just looking. He has a guest post all about building physical product businesses that's on Location Rebel. We'll link to that below as well.
Perfect. Yeah, go type in his website and go figure out how he's doing his sales and marketing and where his traffic's coming from. You can learn so much by just taking the proper time to do the research. And I think that's something that is something most entrepreneurs overstep or don't focus on. Everyone wants to be the next Elon Musk or whoever, and think they have the greatest idea, but you can really learn so much from just doing the proper research and spending a few hours to a few days on that.
Perfect. Okay, so jumping back into this, we have the research phase. What's step number 2? I've done my research. I know that there is a market for it. I know that I've got competitors that are doing big things. How do I actually get this thing made?
Yes, so we get this question a lot. I'm sure you do too. You have great, a great blog post. locationrebel.com/Alibaba, I believe.
If it's not, I will make that and have it forward to that.
Okay,
Something similar.
I believe that's what it is, because I've referenced it a lot. This is just like anything when it comes to business. I think a lot of people, they get excited and then they just start taking action instead of really understanding the process a bit more. And again, this is how all early stage.
Because in my mind, it's like, if I want to get something made, I go to Alibaba.com. I think that most people that are thinking about a physical product, that's their only frame of reference. Is that a good idea? Bad idea?
I think it's a good idea to get started and at least start having initial conversations. Obviously, the name of the game here is instead of quality, it is actually quantity, because we are going to have to, if you reach out to 30 or 40 people, odds are 2 to 5 are actually going to be a reasonable match for you. And unfortunately, a lot of people reach out to 5 or 10, they get one and they think they're ready to go, and then they get a product that is not what they thought it was going to be. So it's all about making sure that you're casting a wide enough net and then narrowing it down. And what else I think is really important, even from the Alibaba perspective and reaching out, is understand these factories are getting contacted hundreds of times a day, and they have to sift through a quality versus a non-quality lead. So you want to make sure that we talk about on that blog post. Let's definitely link it up in this video, because in this blog post we talk about the correct way to reach out to these factories. And I think approaching them in a way that where you come off professional, where it comes off like you actually know what you're talking about, not, hey, I want to get this backpack made, can you make it?
Yeah.
But product dimensions, specs, materials, even having like 3D renderings or anything to where they can they say, okay, this person is more serious than these people who are not, also puts you at a higher priority level.
So what are the chances, like, okay, so that's great. So I'm a little worried where it's like, say I go to these factories, I've got my brilliant idea. What are the chances of the factory just stealing my idea, doing it themselves?
Yeah,
is that common?
Yeah, so we hear this a lot, and again, if a Chinese factory, or if anybody for that matter, steals your idea and launches it, then they're a better entrepreneur than you. And that's what we believe, and that's how we even practice. And even with my investment portfolio, which is all IoT, connected tech, AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, food tech, cutting edge stuff.
Yeah.
Patents and copyrights, that's third, fourth level of defensibility.
And there's something to be said, you said a keyword, which is to make it and launch it.
Yeah.
Like, some of these factories can make it, but for them to successfully go out and launch it and create a brand and a business around it, that's where the entrepreneur kind of comes in, right?
Yeah, if you go into, so Chinese factories are great at making products. Ask a Chinese factory to create a brand.
Yeah, good luck.
You can go and see crowdfunding campaigns, or even Amazon listings are a great example. You can spot the Chinese factories, or the manufacturers based off, spelling errors. There's no branding, positioning, messaging. Product shots are sometimes in a factory itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So someone, again, stealing your idea and running with it, I would never worry about that. And my favorite thing is always reference, Nike, you have an iPhone right there. Nike and Apple can't protect themselves in China.
Yeah.
So to think that you're going to protect yourself is just, I don't like to say stupid. It's a waste of your time and energy.
Totally.
Focus that time and energy on figuring out how to build the correct brand and communicate with the customers correctly, and find a manufacturer who's going to be a suitable fit for you. And it's important to make sure that you're not with a factory that is too small or one that's too big. It's all about where you are and making sure they can grow with you a bit, while always keeping your eyes open for, as you reach the next stage, a factory who's going to be able to manage and take care of whatever you have coming next.
Totally. So now a question that I imagine a lot of you are going to have. You specialize in China. You lived in Guangzhou for 5-6 years at least. You lived in Hong Kong for a number of years.
Yeah.
What's the difference between China and India and Vietnam and Bangladesh? Like, is China the place to go? Like, should you go to some of these other companies? Like, what's the difference between them?
Sure. Again, it's so funny because we get this question a lot too. I think a lot of people, Vietnam is a good manufacturing hub. Taiwan, Korea, Laos, Cambodia. All of Southeast Asia in general. I believe that, it's just factual that China itself has been producing the majority of the world's goods since the 1980s.
Yeah.
They have developed infrastructure around it, highways, railways. They have a workforce that is, a workforce that has spent decades understanding how to create these things, right? And I think, a lot of the people pointing to other parts of the world, they may be, you'll see a lot of big brands, H&M, Nike, again, who we already mentioned, they're exploring other parts of the world. They're also multi-billion-dollar businesses.
Yeah.
I think what's really important is, especially as you're starting out, it's that if you can, the more friction you can remove from the process of starting your business and manufacturing it, the better.
Yep.
So going to a place like China, even if the cost is higher, you're going to spend less time and less energy figuring that out than going to places where they're still figuring out themselves how to manufacture.
Well, and one of the things that jumps to mind that, as far as I know, at least to this scale, none of the other countries have, is you can go to the Canton Fair in China, and it's literally the biggest, most overwhelming, group of factories and manufacturers anywhere in the world, I think.
Yep. Yeah, largest trade show.
And so you can go, and they've got, no matter what you want to get made, watches, gardening tools, sex toys, saunas, like those are all things we saw when we were there.
Tractors.
Yeah. You can go and talk to the factories and talk to them about your ideas. And so if you're serious about this and it's something you actually want to pursue, you know, for a couple $1,000s, you can get on a flight. It happens twice a year in Guangzhou. You can go talk to the factories face to face and get a sense of, you know, what's going to work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And even having those conversations before you get to Guangzhou is also something that's important. You know, you can reach out to 50, 60 factories. You can figure out who's going to be at the fair. You can have these preliminary conversations so that by the time you do get to Guangzhou, you can go to the fair, but you can also spend time at their factory, vetting them, asking them questions, because you already have that, you know, pre-existing relationship.
Totally. So, okay, so we covered great ideas on how to research your product. We talked about how to start going about manufacturing your product. But one of the biggest things I see, and you can tell me if you see this as well, is that people get so focused on their physical product in the process of manufacturing it that they tend to completely neglect the most important part, which is actually selling it and getting customers and like building the brand.
Yeah.
Is that something you see as well?
Yeah, I love that. I'm so happy that you brought this up. This is one of my favorite. That's why I started laughing when you started going into it, because this is the amount of founders I know who have a great product. And go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo or either of those platforms and go just even search the campaigns in the niche you're interested in.
Yeah.
90% of these campaigns fail.
Yeah.
90% of founders don't raise the money they're looking for. And that is not because that's not because they're launching a bad product. It's because they don't understand what you just said. They don't understand the marketing and sales process.
So when you're working with new founders that are working on their product, how do you advise them to go about this? Do you make the product first and then worry about it? Do you build the brand first? Like what's the process look like?
Our number one thing is I recommend everybody who's watching this, if they're interested in it, go do your research on customer discovery and customer development.
Okay.
The main thing would be the customer development process, which is you need to get out and start talking to people. That is customer interviews. Let's say you want to do that backpack, that travel backpack. Where can that's Columbia, or that's Burton, but go to Columbia Sportswear, go to REI, go to any, go to an airport. Go to these places where your customers are spending time and start getting that in that engagement process. And what you start to learn is not only do you figure out if you're building the right thing or not from these potential customers, but you get to, it's like anything, you're going to suck when you start, but after talking to 10, 20, 30, 40 customers, you start to understand how to position, how to message, what keywords to use, what type of branding, what type of price sensitivity they have, and this is all free. That's what I want to point out. It's the time and energy of doing that process correctly. What I think is really important, what we say especially for us, is plan well, prepare well, execute well. And that has been since we've learned how to walk as children, to dating, to being successful entrepreneurs, right? It's a process. And I think that people, for some reason or another, they forget it when it comes to entrepreneurship, or they want to focus on doing the wrong work at the wrong time, and it leads them to the wrong place.
For sure.
So for us, we really focus on, more than anything else, before the thing we want to prevent, most important, I mean, even with this video, the last thing you want to be is an entrepreneur with a great product and stock and no customers. We want you to be a founder, an entrepreneur who has a great product and lots of customers, and then you figure out how to go make it. Like, that should be the goal. And I've spent, I don't even know how many hours in factories. I mean, I'm sure it's weeks if you total the time. But by any means, if you have people who've given you money to buy your idea or your vision of what you want to launch, then I don't care if you have to go sleep in that factory in mainland China. You go, and spend. I mean, you and me ate that Lanzhou La Mian, 10 RMB, like $1.50 meals.
Absolutely.
Like, you got to sort this out, because I think even that dedication to the business gives you so much more appreciation to be able to do things like this on a Tuesday.
And that's really what it's all about. Spending more time doing the stuff you love, building a business you're excited about. As you know, that's what we're all about here at Location Rebel. Nick embodies this on a much larger scale than I do.
I love life.
He loves life. So for people that are watching this and they're like, yes, this is all stuff I want to learn about, maybe they're interested in Enter China.
Great.
What are the next steps? How do they get more information? How do they take the next steps in their product creation journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I mean, you're a great resource. You have tons of content on your website. We've worked closely together. I also think if you go to enterchina.co, which is our website, or enterchina.co/accelerate, we have an Accelerate program, which helps founders go through, the process we've talked about loosely, and obviously encapsulates a bit more. But if they want to find out more about what we do, that's where they can learn more.
And let me remind you, the people in Enter China, $100 million a year in product sales.
Not too shabby.
We're gonna work out like an affiliate link for this, right?
Sure.
Like, we're just tell them that I sent you. Tell them you saw this video, and I'm gonna start getting back in on this action when I just gave them my share of the company right back.
You do that, you'll get a discount, and Sean will get an affiliate.
See,
and everyone wins.
People helping people. Everybody wins.
That's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
And together we all make more.
There you go. That's what's up, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit subscribe. Hit that little notification bell up top. That way you're gonna be notified every time we got new videos, which is twice a week right now, that are gonna help you build a small business you can run from anywhere in the world and spend more time doing the stuff you love. So hit subscribe. Check out the link below. Go take a look at Enter China. We've also got links to all the blog posts and everything we mentioned here. And we will see you next time. Thanks.
Cheers.